Hey there, YouTube. It's Petey, and I just got finished building this. It's a Naga Viper. This is a pedal made by a company called Catalinbread. This little baby loves Catalin. Uh, it's a Rangemaster clone that's modified. This is the treble booster for people who don't like treble boosters. Supposedly smooths it out a little bit. It's a 3 knob affair. So what was our knobs again there, Gonti?
Heat, range, and I forgot the other one.
Boost.
Yeah.
Boost, range is here. And when you have the range all the way up, it's the most it's removing the most bass frequencies. That's the way the circuit works. When you turn this down, the more you turn it down, the more the mids and the bass frequencies creep back into the circuit. Um, the the heat is like the gain, and the boost is like the volume. And it's an orange LED. This green, we're kind of color treated here a little bit in this through this software is called Open Broadcast Service or something, OBS, and I've got it set up with a little bit of a it tempers the colors. Whereas this green is a little bit more. It's not so much tube screamer green as it is just a mean green machine green. So we put this together today. It's a low parts count circuit. I had ordered some bits of wire from Tata, the company, um, some 22 gauge pedal wire, and they shorted me. They didn't give me one of the pieces of wire, and then on top of it, I misordered and I got
Solid.
solid core. So that threw me off with the wire to where, like, at the end of this build, it just turned into a. So yeah, I had to go in and clean it up. I had one point where the um, something funky was going on with the ground for the LED. Anyway, I got it cleaned up, and the pedal is stable. It fired up first try. This is a low parts count. It's like probably like 11 to 15 parts, something like that. But this is a really good sounding pedal. This thing is awesome. Now I only played it a little bit through uh, my thank you, Gonti, through my first deck. That's my tone monster series. Uh, but trust me, if you know someone with a soldering iron, pester them to build you a Naga Viper. This is an awesome pedal. It takes the legendary Rangemaster and smooths it out a little bit, takes some of the rough edges off. This is what I've heard. I've heard people that, for whatever reason, they don't like the Rangemasters. They really like this. Um, I just tested it out and I was like, man, like if you're more into boosting than distorting, this thing is an awesome circuit. I got to tell you, I've just been falling in love with treble boosters. Um, that's become my thing now, and I gotta tell you, I think I'm hooked. I think that this game, it's not gonna be over. I think that I'm going to want to build a Brian May. I'm probably going to do the Brian May on Vero, so that won't cost us money. But I think I'm going to want to do a Beano boost as well. I really think I am. I have to look into that because I've heard people, like everybody has their favorite one. And the Beano boost is really highly, that's like up at the top. The catalinbread naga viper. I don't know how you could beat this. From what I heard of it, it was just like it's really versatile and it just sounds phenomenal. It's a 2N2222 transistor. It's just a regular cheap silicon transistor. So here's what's going to happen. I got to take a break here. I got some other things going on. I don't think I'm going to be soldering tomorrow. I think I got a couple other things I'm going to work on, and maybe I might want to actually play music tomorrow. What day is tomorrow?
Friday.
Is it? Are you working? Yeah.
His
Oh yeah. Somebody's got to go to the vet. So
But he doesn't know it.
more than likely, I've got to go through my transistors and see, do we have a 182 transistor?
182?
A B1.
BS. Oh no, I'm thinking BS 170.
Yeah, I think it's like a B182L or something. I gotta see. But people who know about this stuff, nobody ever says the Catlin Naga Viper is their favorite treble booster. They always say it's either a Range Master, the Brian May treble booster is the one that people will say is their favorite, or the Beano boost. And typically people that go down the treble booster road, one of my first pedals was an electroharmonic screaming tree. And that thing was terrible. It was you stepped on it and it just it had so much treble, like it just killed all the frequencies in it, and it was really unbelievably loud. And then it had a knob on it where you could make it worse. So that thing's around here. I think I put something different in it. I'm not sure. It was horrifically bad, but I've got a silicon range master here. I've got a germanium range master. That's the one that I've been playing through, this germanium range master, and I really do love it. I really do. I would give that pedal to Rob Fetters though. If he, well, you know what? I gave him a dot 250, and it was on his board for a long time, and then he did a show with another band and he took it off his board. Mind you, it very well may be back on his board, but the idea of giving pedals to people, Even if they're great guitar players, you should have to go and find that stuff for yourself. You shouldn't have people feigning on you, going, "Oh, try this." You know, that's not exactly how it works. But I may very well be trying the Beano Boost. That's the one. I don't know about the Brian May. I've heard people flip out about the Brian May treble boost, and you know what? I think they're all really something. Now me, I like to be able to adjust the stuff, like this idea of having this 3-knob one. This is where it's at. Having a little bit of control to bring some of the bass frequencies in to sculpt it. Because there's all different ways you can use these things. And I'm using it with a modeling device. And in some cases it's on a dirty amp, in some cases it's on a clean amp. And I like to be able to change the settings on it. You know, I like to be able to sculpt it. So, and that's the thing. The Brian May and the Beano, I think there's a version of the Brian May that doesn't have any controls on it. You know? It's just wide open. You know? And that's fine. That's fine. But ultimately, having that tone, and I know how to mod that. I know how to do it. It's 100K linear potentiometer. You take 2 capacitors like this. You take the middle 2 leads and solder them together. You take this lead and you solder it to 1 and 2 on the 100 kV pot. Take this lead and you solder it to 3, and then you wire in a pair of wires to the circuit board where the capacitor would sit. One of those wires terminates to the 3 end of the potentiometer where this lug is connected, and the other wire, surprise surprise, goes to this double one here in the middle. That's how you hook that up. And you put like 47 nanofarad on one end of it and a 680 on the other. And it would give you quite a spectrum. You could go as far if you're like, I've seen people do it where they're like, oh, I've got a 5 nanofarad on a 3-way switch. They'll have a 5, another 5, and a 10. So with adding those up, you can get 5, 10, or 15 nanofarad. And that's all really, that's like, it's not making that big of a difference to me. Like I'll put 500 more microfarad on there and be like, that's a difference. Now I can hear that bass. You know, I don't want to just have like a little bit of upper mid coming in. I want to have like, give me some of my tone back. Cause see, that's the thing about these circuits. It depends on what you're running them through. If you're running it through a massive stack that's muddy, that's a dark amp, like some of these early Marshalls, they weren't bright amps at all. You put this thing on there and Bob's your uncle, then you've got it perfectly in the mix. So that's why I'm saying having these additional modifications in there. I mean, I'm not a mod guy. I'm not a guy who is like, you got to get in there and change some shit. Like, if you're building it, why would you build it stock? I'm like, no, I'm like build it stock guy. And the only time the modification like makes sense to me is if I'm going to use it. Coming into this thing, you know, like before I built a pedal, I would think, oh, that's really cool to have an extra knob on it. Like, that's really cool, you know. Like somebody makes a big muff and it's got 4 knobs on it. Or here's a rat and it's got 4 knobs on it. Well, that's that Reutz modification. You know what? That Reutz modification, I never noticed it doing enough to justify having a pot on the board, an extra knob on the device. And that's what I'm getting at. If it's barely going to do something, like in a studio setting, like, oh, did you, like these guys that are like splitting hairs or like laying on, who's that's that story about that woman who was the Princess and the Pea? Like that type of thing, that does not appeal to me. I'm not that guy. And if there's a knob on it, I better be able to freaking tell if I moved the knob from 0 to 10 that it did something to the sound. You know what I mean? So that's the type of guy that I am. And I'm telling you, I love this circuit. I haven't, like more than likely what I'll do, I've got this board over here. It's 3 pedals, and this is what I run when we're making music now. I run this new XMG30, which is it's a multi-effector amp and cabinet simulator, and it's a really good one. Like it sounds unbelievably great. Like I've never had guitar tone this good in my life until I got this thing, and now at this point I'm like, I have a real hard time talking to guitar players because I know that they're still playing through pedals and amps, and that they've got shitty tone. Like all of the guys that I know that were like snobs about going digital, now they're missing out on a revolution of tone. Like it's unbelievable how good your guitar can sound if you use one of these modelers. Okay? And you get a bunch of different amp sims in it that they all sound different and they all have their different characteristics, and it's like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to spend you can get them used for like 150. It's like, even if you're going to say, well, I'm not so sure, but my last experience with a digital modeling device was in the 90s. Like, you have to be like smoking crack to think that the stuff that's out now is in anywhere near the ballpark of your fucking Korg Tone Pro series or whatever, Tone Loc, whatever shit that you played through. It's really something how fucking good these modelers sound these days. And I'm not talking about the Flammo ones. There's still budget models out there that don't really do it. The bottom tier is like a new XMG30. Like they sell MG300, and even that, it's not it, man. It's not it. It's close. It's really good, but it's not unbelievably great like what I'm talking about. So it's just one of those things when I'm communicating with people and they kind of have a little bit of an attitude about their rig and like that they think that they're really something else, and it's like you have no idea what you're missing. I'm not a good guitar player. I am a terrible guitar player. I am like most of the guys out there that can play could beat me after a week of playing. I'm such a horrible guitar player. Me bragging about this device, it's merely the company that made it. It has nothing to do with me playing it. It's just this thing sounds that good on its own. So the quality of the sound is phenomenal. And it's a totally different experience than what they call amp in the room. And you don't have that feel. People talk about the feel, like guys who are amp guys. They'll notice when they switch over to playing this device that it doesn't have the feel. I'm like, I don't know what that means. All I know is this thing sounds like a mastered album. It sounds like guitar tones that are like, you know, like world class mastered album guitar tones for $150 used. So that's what I'm using this for. And more than likely, what I'm going to do, I'll put this in front of my existing pedal board. I run the guitar right into the new XMG30, and then there's an effects loop. And you can move that wherever you want. Well, I move it to the beginning, where I would put my dirt pedals. And right now I have the Rangemaster, I have the EP Boost, and I have the Rev G3, which really does some tone shaping. The way that I have it set up, it's not for grit, distortion. It's just for tone shaping. And it really honks out the mid-range and upper mid. It's like a real distinct peak in the upper mids with that pedal. So the middle pedal, it brings more of the bass and low end up. That's the EP booster, and then there's the Rangemaster, which it kind of neuters some of the low end, which can be good if you're doing a real lot of distortion. But I'm doing a lot of clean tones, a lot of AC15 and AC30, and Roland Jazz Chorus clean sounds is what I've been doing. Fender Bassmans, all sorts of different Fender models. So the matchless amp I use the Dr. Z, the Lone Star. I use a bunch of amps in there, but more than likely what I will do is connect this in the effects loop before the Rangemaster, my germanium pedal, and then ABM and see what's going on with this. Maybe put it after the Rangemaster. Just kind of see what's going on and see, do I want to get rid of that Rangemaster and start playing through this? And then what's going to happen after that? I bought the parts, the shell, the parts, the knobs, the switches to build a pedal that's called a full tone Fat Boost version 2. And that's a 4-knob pedal, volume gain, bass and treble. So running something that's a treble booster or bass tamer, and the next pedal you can bring some bass back in to the mix. So I may end up with 2 boards. I put another distortion as the third pedal, and I have two different boards. I've got a Clark Gainster here. I've got a Klon. I've got a Silver Fox that I really like. It's a Klon clone. And then I've got a Timmy clone. So I probably will be moving some pedals around on these boards and seeing what I'm going to come up with. The other thing I want to do is lower the current limiting resistor that's in my Rangemaster, because the LED is eating up more current to keep the LED on than the circuit. So I got to find a solution for that. I think there's a way that you can, is it positive ground? Yeah, that circuit's positive ground. you run the positive wire from the battery snip. Instead of running that into the pedal, you run it into pin 2 of your input jack. There's 3 pins on the input jack. And then what that does is when you plug the pedal in, when you plug your cable into it, the power will come on. And at that point, I'm tempted to even just remove the LED on it, but I'll just lower the resistor, and then that'll be my fail-safe. I'll lower the resistor level so the LED isn't as bright, and then that fail-safe will be that I unplug it. So I'm going to have to do some testing on that. That'll be another day. But the other thing that I wanted to mention, if you guys stayed this whole thing, there's a new type of stop switch that's called a low impact stop switch. You hear that? It may not seem like a big deal to you. Do I have another pedal here and I could click clack? It's okay. Don't worry about it. This requires less force for you to click it. It's and I think it was either,
Oh, I don't know the price, yeah.
I think it was like $233. It wasn't more. It wasn't more. It was maybe a little bit less for this, but this is the way to go. I am no longer going to be getting the full velocity ones. This is nice. I'm just like, I am so happy with this pedal. I cannot tell you the last time. When was I over the moon about a pedal like that?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Not even the Rangemaster. No. I mean, I really love my EP boost too. I really do. But it's crazy. I've been playing guitar for such a long time. I mean, it's like I've been playing guitar since I was a little kid, you know? And to have something, to discover something at this point in my life, like, you know, but I mean, I was never, holy shit. I was never like a professional guitar player or had a bunch of amps and had a bunch of guitars. I you know, like I just some goof. And now I'm, you know, applying myself more and learning more. And with the availability of modeling that actually works, I'm learning what these amp models really sound like and what they really do. I mean, I would never have had a use for a clean boost pedal. I wouldn't have used it properly in the past. I was playing through stuff like little Fender Champ amplifiers and stuff that those amps don't really, that doesn't really translate with that, you know. So if you're scratching your head and you don't get it, you know, if you tried one of these things and you didn't get it, well, consider the whole picture. Are you playing through a mid-tier amp? Is it like, you know, because I've got like a hi-fi setup. This is like a mastered album with the headphones, with the MG30. So it's a different thing, and I'm not sure. You know, like if I had a Vox AC30, this would probably translate to that. I've got a JTM 45 here, so and I know these are what they used to pair with those amps. So we shall see. Anyway, you guys, don't forget your low velocity stop switches. That's what you want. And if you ever want something custom built, I can refer you to a guy I know who only charges $350 a pedal. Talk to you guys later. Hug your pets and peace.